What is up, everybody? I just got done with my night run. It was about 10 miles. I was doing my normal loops around the block, but right before I actually started that run, I was reviewing some of the footage from my last long run that I was going to make a video about, and it was completely washed out. It was just way too dark, and the GoPros kind of suck with low light, and it was pretty much unusable. So the entire time I was running, I just was trying to think about how I was going to actually recover that video. And I think I'm just gonna do a quick intro, a little talking head, and then we'll go into the treadmill portion of the run. So last week I did another 20-mile run, just building up the base, but that day was absolutely insane. It was a terrible freaking day. I woke up, I had to go and get some maintenance on my van, and it took 4 hours to get that done. I mean, I don't know what the hell they were doing. The guy was like kind of bragging that they were so busy, but they didn't have the people. And I was just sitting there for 3 hours. I was just doing a state inspection and an oil change. That took 3 hours. And then right when my van was done, somebody ran into a telephone pole, and the telephone pole like fell on the ground, and then the wires draped across the highway, and it just completely knocked out power in that whole section of the city. So I was just kind of sitting there for an additional hour waiting so I could actually pay for my vehicle. I was trying to give them my card information and everything, but there was just nothing they could do. And I had to sit there for 4 hours. So we get home, and my kids were waiting to go to our community pool, and they've been waiting ever since we moved to Virginia to go to this pool. And then we get to the pool, and they get all ready. We get in swimsuits. They were like super cute. We were all super excited. And for some reason, their system didn't have us in their actual software. So they denied us entry to the community pool. You should have seen my daughter. It was the saddest freaking thing I've ever seen. Her little heart broke, and they wouldn't let us in the pool. And they were just kind of like kids or teenagers that were working at the pool. And I didn't want to get mad at them because I knew it wasn't their fault. It was whoever dumbasses were in the office that didn't do their job and then just took off for the weekend. So a bunch of families in our community actually were turned away from a community pool, which is probably one of the saddest things I've ever seen. But I had to quickly adapt to that situation. We ran to Target. I went and bought like this above ground pool, filled it up in the backyard, got some pool like noodles and stuff, and we had a fun time. But the day was really freaking crazy. Once we actually got the girls all cleaned up, got the pool cleaned up and everything, it was about 8 o'clock. So I didn't start my run until about 8:30. And I was like kind of emotionally drained out just because, I don't know, seeing a baby's heartbreak is just emotionally straining. I don't know. That just absolutely destroyed me, and I could feel it in my run. But once the girls were happy and down for the night, I got out there and got my run done. For this long run, I started outside because I wanted to get that real feel of actually running outside and breathing air. And then I also wanted to, kind of decompress just in the darkness, just kind of like going through everything in my head and get some stress relief out. And I also wanted to test out some new gear that I'm actually trying out. It didn't really work out the way I wanted to, but I'm still testing out some new things that I'm going to bringing into the Grindstone 100. The outside portion of the run went really well. I mean, it was exactly what I wanted. Just kind of, it got dark probably within the first 30 minutes, and then I was just in the darkness, and I could tunnel in, work through some stuff in my head and kind of decompress in that way. But that's kind of what we have to do when we have kids, when we have jobs, when we have like just stuff going on in our life. We have to adapt, overcome, and still put in the work. Stay consistent no matter how shitty your day was. I mean, some days if things are getting way too crazy or you're way too stressed and it's going to be a detriment to your training, it is okay to take a rest day. It is okay to just have a little bit less miles during the week if it's going to end up being a detriment to your training. But if you're physically okay and you can make it work, stay consistent, get out there and make it fucking work. Adapt to the situation. If you have to run out in the darkness, just go out and run in the darkness. I used to run on a freaking 0.25 mile loop. Now I have about a 2 mile loop, which is a lot better, but I would just run in the circle over and over again to get the goals done, to get the mission done, to get the training in and stay consistent. So just be a little bit crazy and go run around in circles. Just like me. If you want to be crazy, just be like me and run around in circles. Sometimes that's what we have to do if we want to be part of this weird, crazy ultra marathon community and put in the fucking work. So where this video is going to pick up is we're about 2 to 3 miles into the treadmill. I ran about 10 miles outside for an hour and 33 minutes. I got 1,122 feet of elevation gain, but I will see you on the treadmill. Let's go. All right, so here we are on the treadmill. I'm about 3.58 miles in. It's about 223 feet of elevation gain just on the treadmill. Out there on the road, I think I got about 1,000 feet of elevation gain. So just trying to keep it up and lock myself into a certain pace while I'm going up and down the hills. So what I did was I loaded the first 10 to 11 miles of the Grindstone 100 course into the treadmill. They have this like shitty app that you have to like click each waypoint and follow the topographic maps. It's super frustrating. It's super annoying. This treadmill and this machine absolutely sucks, but I scored it on Facebook Marketplace for really cheap, and I wanted something that could go up to really steep elevation. This goes up to 40% or 40% grade elevation, and it can go on a decline of -6%. So when I saw it on Facebook Marketplace for about $600 to $800, this is a $3,000 to $4,000 fucking dollar machine, which is absolutely ridiculous. Nobody should pay that much for a stupid treadmill that crashes all the time. If you have an iFit treadmill, this fucking thing crashes all the time. One week I ran like a long run, 3 hours or 4 hours on it. And in that course of time, it fucking crashed. Oh my God. Maybe five or six times. And it's so frustrating. So iFit, your app, and your treadmills, Nordic Track. I don't understand how you guys are all over the place with a shitty fucking app, but your app sucks. Fix the back end because it blows. But nonetheless, I'm on the treadmill, putting in some work. Right now I'm going up at about a 5% grade. I lowered the pace a little bit. I'm at about a 9:30 pace, just working my way up this little incline, and it just keeps oscillating as it would with the course, going up and down, trying to stay entertained. So I get these wire racks, put them to eye length or eye height, and then I put my computer right on top. My favorite thing to do right now is to watch anime with EMD or EDM music or electronic music or old school hip hop. So I watch it with subtitles, and I listen to like hip hop, old school hip hop or dubstep or EDM music. And it's like a cool music video where you don't really have to like focus on what you're watching, but you get that little adrenaline hit, that rhythmic running with music, and then you get to watch something cool that's like really flashy. And you can tune in when you want, when you're starting to drift off, and then you can go right back in if you're working on like hill repeats or intervals. Just listen to the music and keep going. So that's the thing that has really helped me out. I notice when I watch movies or things that I have to like focus on a lot, my pace is a lot slower because I want to focus on it. So I try to do stuff on my computer when I'm running that's a little bit more like impulsive or mind numbing, so I can really still focus on what I'm doing in the run, what I'm doing in the workout, but still be entertained and not just looking at a wall, just staring at a wall for hours and hours and hours and hours. So So right now I'm at 5.75 miles in with 725 feet of elevation gain. So a total of about 15 miles, 16 miles, and about 1,700 feet of elevation gain for this run. All right, so just took almost choked, so I had to slow it down a little bit, but that's normal because you'd probably be slowing down while you're eating and drinking while you're running anyway. So it's good to, or I like to at least, practice eating and drinking on my long runs, just because I like to make sure the nutrition is gonna hold in my stomach. My body knows what to do with the nutrition that I'm actually going to be taking during the run. So I try to stay on the same nutrition plan as I would be for my long runs as the actual race. So hold on, it's going up high. Slow it down a little bit. So I like to practice eating and drinking the same amount and the same things as I am going to for the Grindstone 100, just so I know 100% my body will understand and be okay with what I'm actually taking onto the course. Once you know what you're actually going to be taking to the race, it won't hurt to actually try some alternatives just in case for some reason the company that you like goes out of business or they don't have it on course or whatever it may be. Like during the Mid-State Massive, I ran the last half of that whole 100-miler basically on potato chips. But I knew I could run on potato chips because I practiced with them. So understanding how many calories, carbs you need that your body wants, and then adapting to the situation at hand. And if you practice it during these long runs, it can literally save you. So always be prepared, especially with your nutrition. Nutrition is always one of the biggest issues with all ultra runners, beginners to pros. I still have a big issue with it. So you should always be trying to make it as effective and efficient as possible and be able to eat as much stuff as you can on the trail and not have to dig 8,000 holes or blow up the person behind you because you're farting down the trail. So try out your food. 7.27 miles in with an elevation gain of 1,273 feet of elevation gain. So a total of about 17 miles and like 2,200 feet of elevation gain on this run. Getting kind of worked. I'm running downhill now, so that's why you might hear some squeaking. But had about 800 calories with tailwind and the honey stinger waffles. I ate 2 of those, and about, let's say 40 fluid ounces of just clean white, or just clean, and about 40 ounces of just clean water. And it seems to be helping a lot. So I think I'm gonna start introducing and carrying a lot more like just clean water bottles, because I think that's where I've been like really missing out. It's just that extra hydration with no electrolytes or no anything. So I think I need to go about 2 bottles an hour, 1 with tailwind and 1 with just clean water. It's going to be a lot to carry, but it makes my performance, or makes my body feel so much better when I'm dumping in almost 40 fluid ounces of fluid every hour, especially on these really hot runs like this basement that I'm in right now. When I start sweating and running a lot, it gets hot as fuck in here and humid. My computers get all humid and shit, so I sweat an assload. My sweat rate's really high, so I think adding in that extra 2 bottles of just clean water would really help. All right, so there you have it. That's the long run for today. Ended up with 10 miles in 1 hour, 36 minutes and 26 seconds on the treadmill. So that ends up being about 20 miles total with 3 hours, 9 minutes or so. So pretty good run. I'm not stressing out too much about it. I got 2,200 feet of elevation gain from 1,000 feet of elevation outside, and then 1,200 feet of elevation gain here on the treadmill. So I'm still kind of in the base building process of this buildup. So I'm not too afraid of like having these weird medley fitted in kind of runs. But, you just got to get the work done, stay consistent, build that big aerobic engine. So then later on, we can do all the fancy, fun speed intervals and hill repeats and stuff like that. So got the work in, got 20 miles done, put in some pretty good elevation gain, and worked pretty well. I mean, based off of how today went, as I was explaining earlier in the video, I'm glad that I actually even got my long run in for the week. So that's one of the things about being a dad, having a full-time job, just having to deal with life. Sometimes you have to go out and run in the dark, run around in circles like I did, or sit on a treadmill forever, stay consistent and get the work in. But if you're adaptive enough, if you're willing to endure the suck enough and run around in circles, then you can get it done and you can be pretty successful in your runs. It's just you have to be able to put in that work and have to deal with the mind-numbing running in circles and circles. I don't want to sound like a guru or any bullshit like that. It's literally just put in the fucking work and you have to sacrifice some of your time. Like, I want to be sitting upstairs and eating a pizza and watching TV, but I got this goal that I want to hit the Grindstone 100 under 24 hours. So I'm putting in the work, and I believe basically anybody can, if they're willing to put in the work, willing to put in the mind-numbing hours out on the streets, out on the trails, out on the treadmill, do whatever the fuck you want. So get out there, chip away, become an average savage, find discomfort and live in that discomfort and learn in that discomfort, because that's where we're going to grow. Chip away, become an average savage. Let's go and let's get it.